been a while and I've wanted to do a update video on just what I've been doing regarding the Silvia and now my new E36. So if you've been following the Silvia build, it's been taking its sweet time, but I mean good things take time, so it is what it is. But I've been itching to drive, so I went out and bought a cheap drift car. And I've been having a blast. I've been drifting since about January this year. I've gone out for about 4 track days and loved every single one, and I can't wait to go back out there again. And yeah, so we'll do a little bit of a build breakdown and run you through what's been going on with the car and what I got to do next. So yeah. So for the engine, it's an M54 B30. I believe this one is out of an E39 530i, and it's running a ZF gearbox. Typical heavy duty clutch, lightweight flywheel, kind of standard stuff there. Got a Mishimoto 3-core radiator, typical pod filter, and a partsshopmax brace. Up the front there's not too much apart from maintenance work done. Currently not running a clutch fan, just the factory electric fan up front, and it seems to stay cool, so I'm not in a rush to change much with the cooling, but I would like to do a proper puller fan setup with a nice shroud, and that will give me enough space for an oil cooler up front. As you can see, the firewall has a massive hole, so I've been stripping out the interior, getting ready for a roll cage. So as you can see, I've pulled out the heater core. I've ordered the hard motorsport delete plate, which will just cover that hole up there. I've also ordered a Sickie handbrake, which I've ordered the pull-up one, so I'm actually gonna ditch this factory unit altogether and mount a pull-up Sickie handbrake just along there, kind of exactly where the factory one goes, but have it coming out a bit further. I've never been a fan of the handbrake on the opposite side of the shifter. I don't know what it is, maybe it's too much simulator for me, but it's not comfy. For bucket seats, just got some cheap KWs. They do the trick for now. Ideally I'd run something a bit more solid and a bit safer, but it is what it is. So yeah, I got a lot of wiring I need to strip out. I'll get there eventually, but most importantly, got to get a cage in this so I can take some passengers and, you know, have twice as much fun. So yeah, as I mentioned before, it's a super simple setup. Running M54 B30 bolted to a ZF gearbox. Very reliable, goes well. I don't think it revs out quite as nicely as the M52 B28s. It does feel slightly gutless, and from what I've heard talking to other people, the M52 B28s are a little bit more rev happy due to having a shorter stroke. So I think if I was to build it again, I would probably go M52 B28, maybe even just a factory 328i and go from there. But I bought this car basically 90% done, so I'm not complaining. I got it for a pretty decent price, so it is what it is. I just wanted to get out there and drive, and it does the trick. For steering, it's 50mm extended lower control arms, CNC 71 angle brackets, and E90 rack ends, just to some factory tie rod ends. The diff is a 373 open diff that's been welded. It's pretty good gear ratios, very short with the ZF. It goes through third gear quite nicely if I'm running a 2.15 40/17, which so far seems like the best tire size for the setup. 328i axles, purple tag steering rack, 330i front brakes and 328i rear brakes, Fortune Auto 510 coilovers, which is actually a true rear coilover. Most people don't usually run the true rear coilover because you can just dial in the spring rates quite nicely with the divorced setup. It is definitely too stiff in the rear. I think the spring that's in it might even be the correct spring rate to be running a divorced setup rather than a true coilover. So I'm going to order a 5K spring and see how it drives. I think it will make a big difference, but I won't know until I try it out. Because of the rear coilover as well, I got a partsshopmax rear brace, which ties in the top strut mounts to the top, or to the top of the subframe really. And yeah, the car's quite stiff and it's quite nice, but it definitely does need a lighter spring rate. It's got a partsshopmax hanger bearing as well, so I'm glad I don't need to worry about having to do that maintenance. Solid subframe bushes, diff bushes, engine bushes and transmission bushes, all Condor Speed Shop. But I think if I was to build this car myself, I'd be ordering Rev Shift. I've just seen online that they tend to last through the abuse a bit better. The trailing arm has the partsshopmax offset spherical bearing. Unfortunately, this one's toast. I don't know what happened, but it's got a lot of play in it. I will be ordering a new set of the offset ones. However, I got to switch over to some new trailing arm bushes first, or some new whole trailing arms, sorry. As the knuckle side of things, the bushes are completely toast. So partsshopmax actually sell a welded spherical bearing for the knuckle side of the trailing arm, and then the kind of long arm side is where the big offset trailing arm bush goes. So I have some trailing arms ready to go in that already have the spherical bearing welded in on the knuckle side, and I just need to buy another set of the offset spherical bearing trailing arm bushes. So yeah, once I order them, I'll put them in, get the new trailing arms in, and it should drive 1,000 times nicer. I do need some new cast iron bushes at the front as well. It does have rubber offset ones, but they are absolutely stuffed. There's so much play in them, and I'm sure I'm getting some caster changes mid-drift because yeah, it doesn't feel that great up front. I'm going to start by changing the bushes and then go from there. In an ideal world, I'd just throw an SLR Ultra kit in and be done with it, but we all know that costs, you know, probably about half as much as the car does. So we'll just we'll stick with the budget options for now and just enjoy the drift days as much as we can. It is running partsshopmax rear arms, both camber and upper control arm, which is why it does have the true coilover in the rear, and then partsshopmax sway bar bushes to connect that rear sway bar to their upper arm. I'm sure I've missed a bunch. There is actually quite a lot of work done to this car, and it does drive really nice. However, it just needs those few small touches, and it will be a reliable weapon for just back-to-back drift days with no problems. So I'll add in some clips of my first drift day and maybe some better clips from my more previous ones. But yeah, I'll do an update video on the S14 once that eventually comes back from fabrication. That should be ready for paint soon, although I've been saying that for about 2 years, but you know what happens. So yeah, if you like the E36 content, I'll make some more and we'll go from there.